Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Art of the Finish Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Rels, and I am on my solo dolo tonight. So I'm just going to be talking real quick, not too long, about Summerslam Night 2. Some things I thought were good, some things I thought were bad, and the controversy surrounding the return of Brock Lesnar and everything around that, as well as the attendance for the show. So I'm going to start off with the attendance for the show. Stephanie McMahon came out towards the end of the show and announced that SummerSlam had an attendance record for all weekends for the whole weekend of 113,722 people. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's a great number. I'm not even gonna sit here and tell you it's not. At the end of the day, wrestling fans win when stuff is like this. Say what you want about the WWE, have your opinions about the WWE, but I mean, to still have 113, almost 114,000 people come into the arena, especially a place like MetLife, over two different nights. I think tonight's was a little over 60,000. It's still an incredible feat in itself. So congratulations to WWE for that. That's one of the biggest pros. Um, Overall, and I don't normally watch WWE shows, but I watched this one tonight. Honestly, just because I really didn't have anything else to watch, so I watched it. But overall, I think the show was, on a scale of 1 to 10. I have to give the show. I give it a solid 7.5. 7.5. I give it. The matches weren't bad. A lot of matches left me with head scratches. Obviously, this was a very heel heavy show in terms of who won and who lost. Let's just go through the match card real quick, and I'll give my thoughts on each match. So the first match was the Women's World Championship Triple Threat. Naomi defended against Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Naomi won that match just as I thought she would too. Rhea hits a move. She throws Rhea out the ring, and then she takes the pin. No, I mean, she throws Io out the ring, and then she pins Rhea with a roll up, grabbing the tights. I've always said Naomi was going to win this match because I think Naomi's going to end up losing to Stephanie Van Kier at Clash in Paris. I couldn't see any of the other two losing to her, so I figured Naomi was going to win this to then go on there and lose. I think her championship reign has been pretty good so far. I can't complain about it. I think it's actually been pretty decent for the most part. She has a lot of momentum behind her, so I think it would have been a mistake for her to lose the belt right now. I say let her hold the belt for another month, keep the momentum going, let her be, another heel champion so fans can get behind Stephanie and Stephanie can beat her for the women's championship. And then I think Stephanie will hold that title probably until maybe Survivor Series. I don't know. I think something will happen where it'll be like a heel Rhea. I think Rhea will turn heel and she'll probably end up being her for the belt, but who knows? But overall, the match was pretty good for the most part. They tried to recreate the moment of WrestleMania when Io hit the moonsault to win the title on Bianca, but Naomi was clearly smarter, and Naomi studied that, and she moved out the way to avoid that. So that was one of the highlights of the match. But besides that, the match was pretty good. The match delivered. I'm not going to say it was just because of Io and Rhea's chemistry because they had to add Naomi to it too, but it was a pretty good match. So once again, like I said, Naomi won that match. It was a pretty good opener for the women to start the show. So that was a pretty good match. So moving on, the next match was the WWE Tag Team Championship six-way ladder match, TLC match. In the crowd, they had the Dudleys, they had the Hardys, and they actually promoted that the Dudleys and the Hardys will be fighting one last time on TNA's Bound for Glory. I think WWE wanted that show on TNA because I think if that match sucks, they can't say it was on their programming, so they can put the blame on TNA. But that's another story for another time. The six-way match, the ladder match was great. I actually thought somehow Andrade and Phoenix were going to win, but the Wyatt Six retained. A lot of high spots in this match, a lot of people going through tables. Candice LeRae went through a table, and Johnny had to make a decision whether he wanted to save his wife or go for the belts, but he chose to go for the belts. So that might be an interesting plot twist later on. SmackDown did show that they do have, and I will say this, and I'm a big AEW fan, but I will say SmackDown has the greatest tag team division at this particular moment. But I think holding the belts on the YS6 is a hindrance because it takes away from the quality of tag team matches they can have. If, say, like DIY was the champions, it's almost like you kind of got to play a game with the YS6 to keep, in order to attain the type of matches that they have. Because to me, they're still in a weird way a supernatural team. So it's kind of hard to have like a 5-star high flying classic when it comes to the YS6. But I mean, the match served its purpose. It got the crowd into it the way they wanted to. Like I said, every team I think went through tables. It was a lot of interference with the YS6, so I think that's why the fans probably booed them towards the end because of the simple fact that it almost felt like it was just too much cheating for them to retain the titles. So I think that turned off the fans a lot. But yeah, the YS6 retained the title. So my guess would probably be that the YS6 probably goes on to fight either Fraxum or Andrade and Phoenix, because I think those are the two teams, if I'm not mistaken, that they haven't really defended the belts against yet. I don't know where the Street Profits is going, but I do have a funny feeling within the next couple of months they will be separated. So we'll just see how that one goes. But once again, like I said, the YS6 retained the tag titles. So it'll be interesting to see where they go and who their next challengers will be after that. Next match was Becky Lynch, Liva Racaria for the Intercontinental Championship. It was a last chance match, but there's also no disqualification, no count out. The match was pretty good. The match was a lot longer than the Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton match. But one thing I noticed that a lot of the pattern of tonight's show, I think tonight's show was more of everything had a stipulation to it. So I think that's another reason why the fans was excited, because weapons were involved, and fans go crazy when they have weapons involved. But for all my wrestling historians out there, there was a scene in the match where Becky had Lyra zip tied to the ring post while she hit her with kendo sticks. If fans remember, that was an old thing that happened between John Cena and Randy Orton way back when they had their match. It was the same exact spot. Lyra wrestled a lot of this match with the zip tie, so she had to do a lot of stuff, pretty much bound. Bayley came out to try to help, and they had a spot where Bayley had a choice to hit Becky or hit Lyra, and she chose to hit Becky. But at the end, it came down to a miscalculation on Bayley's part, where she ended up hitting Lyra, and Becky was able to hit the manhandle slam and retain the Intercontinental title. So I guess now that Lyra can no longer challenge, I guess it's going to go to Becky and Bayley and Lyra now to go on to fight each other. And I guess somehow, some way that may turn Bayley heel. I don't know. It depends on how the fans treat how she acted tonight. Obviously, what she did was by accident, but you never know in the fans' perspective. Bayley could be like, you guys turned on me. You guys, it was an accident, but obviously Lyra's not going to believe it. So it's real easy to turn Bayley heel, but I honestly just think Bayley's biding her time until her contract expires. As far as Becky goes, now that Lyra can't challenge, I guess I don't even know. I want to say maybe it's another Bayley match, but I don't know. I felt like this match served no purpose in a sense, because I thought this would have been a way to create a new star and have Lyra beat Becky, but apparently that's not the direction they wanted to go to. So yeah, but once again, Becky retained, and it'll be interesting to see where she goes next now after this feud with Lyra. Now that Lyra can't challenge anymore for the Intercontinental Championship, it's interesting to see what direction she goes to as well. Next match was the United States Championship match, Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu in a steel cage. Once again, another stipulation match. The match was, to be honest with you, this match lost my attention. There really wasn't anything of importance except for, obviously Solo's NFT came out and Jimmy came out to help. Jimmy came out to help Jacob, but honestly, this feud's going nowhere. Solo retaining the championship. I don't know why, but this feud is really going nowhere. This whole group in the Samoans and Tongans against each other now is almost like it's so repetitive now. Feels like it's been going on for so long that I'm pretty much losing interest in it. The highlight of this match was just that it was after the match when Jacob did the moonsault off the top of the cage onto JC Mateo and to Tangaloa. And to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't. I don't know if this is a good career move for JC Mateo. I mean, granted, he's on TV every week, but he's nothing more than Solo's lackey and a jobber now. So I, I don't know how this helps. Being stuck on this Samoan island, no pun intended, doesn't help his career either. But I don't know where his career would be in WWE if it wasn't part of this. So I just think when these guys were signed, Triple H had an idea to just all sticking within the same group, which he seemed to have done. And yeah, it helps Solo because Solo's personality is shining through, but it's really not helping anybody else. So it'll be interesting to see once again where that whole thing goes. And I just hope Jacob and Jimmy get away from this as far as possible. I wouldn't even mind putting them as a tag team, but please get them away because honestly, this is not really helping anybody's career right now. Solo Jacob is obviously the hotter of both wrestlers, but obviously WWE sees something in Solo based on his personality coming out as well too. So they decided to keep the belt on him. But I don't know, something needs to change when it comes to that. But yeah, like I said, I didn't really even have much interest in this match. It really didn't grab my attention at all. So yeah. Um, Next match after that was Intercontinental Championship match, Dominic versus AJ Styles. Now, this match was pretty good actually. Um, Dominic is becoming a bigger star, obviously. Before we get into the match, let's talk about the entrance. Obviously, SummerSlam will always be special to Dominic because that's where he really actually started his career. One as a young child in 2005, and his first match was Seth in the pandemic era. But AJ coming out in full Eddie Guerrero gear almost, and coming out with the low rider was an awesome touch, and it was also, I guess, the mental thing to get into the head of Dominic. But in the end, Dominic outsmarted AJ. He took his boot off. Well, before I get to that part, one part was they tried the old Eddie Guerrero stunt. AJ was down, the referee was down. Dominic smacked the mat with the chair, dropped it. AJ looked at it, but then put the chair on his neck, so the referee was confused. But towards the end, Dominic unzipped his boot, which was reminiscent of WrestleMania 20 when Eddie fought Kurt Angle. And when AJ went for the calf crusher, the boot came off, to which he was surprised, which I don't understand how you can be surprised by that. But Dominic hit him with the boot while the referee had his back turned and hit him with a frog splash, and that was the end of the match. It's clear at this point AJ's just putting guys over. I don't know if he's putting guys over and this is the end of his career, or he's putting guys over because he maybe let WWE know he's not resigning. I don't know. But obviously you can tell he's putting guys over when, if you look at AJ, could still beat half the roster. But he's comfortable with doing it, so who are we to argue? Um, Dominic retained the Intercontinental title, and I kind of knew he was going to retain it only because they have him featured in that big Triple Mania match. So I didn't think he was going to go in there without a championship. So match was pretty decent for what it is, but no AJ Styles matches are really ever that bad. So I got to give that to him, and I got to give Dominic credit too. So it was a pretty good match. But like I said, it's that may be the one good match, or the one match where I can say, as my title said, creating new stars, that Dominic to me still is a relatively new star compared to AJ, obviously. So I'm not mad at the fact Dominic won. I don't know if they're ever going to pull a trigger on his face turn because obviously he's still getting cheers and good reaction. So it'd be smart if they did, but let's see how that goes. And now the main event, full of not controversy, but so I did get a chance to watch Friday Night SmackDown, and I was a little confused about this Cena heel turn, and I think a lot of people were. I mean, Cena face turn. He pretty much turned face on SmackDown, and he came out tonight like he was face Cena, like nothing ever changed. I think a lot of us were expecting Cody to turn heel. I'm kind of glad he didn't, but I mean, obviously during the match he was being booed, so this might have been the best John Cena match I've seen in years. Stu pulled out a cold red. Cena wrestle like he had a purpose, to be honest with you. And I haven't seen Cena wrestle like that in a long time. And I think a lot of the reason why Cena didn't wrestle like that during his heel run was, I honestly thought it was probably because he was afraid he was going to get hurt and he had to go back to Hollywood. But this tonight felt like the old Cena. Like this Cena pulled out some moves I haven't seen in years. And obviously, he hit the AA, the Avalanche AA didn't work. Cody hit a bunch of crossroads that didn't work. He hit a horrible Cody cutter through the table, which then he finished it off with a crossroads that pinned Cena, and that was the end of that match. Cena shook his hand, Cody shook his hand, they hugged each other. Cody did that horrible crying like he always does when he feels like he's getting complimented for something. The match was a lot better than I thought, and I will even say I think the match was match of the night, to be honest with you, in my opinion. With the women's match being, with the triple threat women's match being a close second. But championships are back to being restored. Cody now has a championship he can go back and defend against people now, which my guess probably be a Drew or probably be his next opponent if I had to take a guess. Yeah, the ending of the match seen the return of Brock Lesnar, which to my knowledge he still has an impending lawsuit going on, but obviously WWE doesn't really care. So, I mean, Brock Lesnar's good for the pop, but obviously, this is just, the Cena's retirement tour. So Brock's not going to beat Cena, and really just goes of how long it's going to go on, because at the end of the day, these two are both part-timers, so they both don't have to be on TV. So I feel like this is going to stretch into October. It was a good show. I really didn't care for Brock Lesnar anymore, honestly, because Brock does the same things over and over again. The WWE put on a pretty decent show tonight. Obviously, the fans were excited about it. If I had to give an overall, like I said, it's probably a 7.5. If I was more into WWE, I probably would have gave it more. But my lack of watching WWE lately, or my lack of attention for it, probably is the reason why I'm probably giving it the score I'm giving it. But overall, look, wrestling as a whole is hot right now, whether we want to admit it or not, whether we like WWE, whether we like AEW, whether we don't like neither. Wrestling is hot right now in that sense. My only giveaways at WWE that are really starting to annoy me is that every weapon, everything has a sponsor on it. And to me, it kind of takes me away from the match. But like I said, overall, the rest of the show was decent. There was some hits, there was some misses. I could do without Lesnar and Cena, but it's Cena's retirement tour. Maybe Cena requested it, maybe Brock requested it. But it'd be real interesting to see how WWE handles Brock Lesnar. Obviously, they took away the press conferences, so now that question won't be answered. So, and it'd be real interesting to see how WWE moves forward with Brock Lesnar. My guess is that he'll be off TV for the next couple of weeks, and so will Cena. They'll talk about Lesnar's return, but they probably won't talk too much about it. So, like I said, it'll be real interesting to see the champions who retain what their futures are after, and how WWE will be going on moving forward. Thanks, guys, for listening real quick and on to my quick review of WWE Summerslam Night 2. Make sure you guys go follow on YouTube, and make sure you guys go follow on Twitch, which is 2920 TV. That's those two channels. Make sure you guys go follow on X, which is 29TV_TV_network. Make sure you guys just check out new episodes that I'll be dropping maybe twice a week, 2-3 times a week. I'm thinking. Just trying to get everything together, but I'm just trying to get myself into a good space when it comes to this stuff. So just make sure you guys tune in, and I appreciate you guys for listening to my review. If you got any feedback, you guys can hit me up on the on the IG page. That's art_of_finish_wrestling podcast on IG. So until then, guys, take care and enjoy your wrestling, and have a good night.